Hello everyone, Peaches here with another episode of Stash. As I said, I was going to go through and do a little mini-series, and I apologize, I was delayed in some of these because my recording software decided it didn't want to record anymore, and it gave up the ghost. It's like, I will do this no longer, you have no power over me. And then what do you do at that point? Nothing. You just have to deal with it. So here I am in Stash, and I am looking just at some stuff for no real apparent reason, because I got some reason for it, but I just don't recall. Yes, right, Overland. I've already gone over some of the boost stuff. I believe I have. It's been a little bit since I've been in this game. Can I plant the seed yet? No, my farming skill's still too low. But I'm going to empty my bags here, and then we're going to get into like kind of the overland exploration and combat aspect to the game, because I believe I've gone over just about everything else that I can go over. I've gone over the, let's see here, I've gone over the crafting aspect, so I don't need to go into that again. I am going to just start crafting something real quick here. I'm going to do some starter spoons. Craft. Alright, now let's get out of here. So then, I don't need to go inside my boo. I need to exit. Alright, so basically, overland exploration is very simple in the sense that you just walk around. You've seen me like go and gather resources on the surface, and that's kind of the basics of it. But what we're going to cover a little bit more so is I'm going to get into kind of some of the way the combat works. And there are some ways that you can't. Oh man, I'm gonna have to mine these resources. That's just too much. Can I actually get to them? Let me see here. Can I get to them? Yes. Excellent. So basically, there's a couple things you can do to kind of give yourself an advantage in combat. It's not like there's no tactics involved. They're working on it. They've actually implemented even more from when the game released. So, you know, it's starting to turn out to be a little bit more of a turn-based kind of strategy type game. And then the other few things I'm going to also cover real quickly is the ways to heal, which is incredibly vital in this game to be able to heal. You're going to have to just eat tons of food, and you're going to also have, it's worthwhile to have a bunch of camps on hand. Because I went ahead and I figured something else out, and if you camp in your, if you use actually a camping tool, which I have some here, or you just come down here and you just go camp button, and you actually use one of these, which I will, just real quickly, you recover about 20% every minute is the way that it was looking like. Now, when you go into town, and you're able to heal that way, like in the local tavern, it's something where it's only like 10%, so it's a lot slower in town than it is on here, which is clever because it allows the crafters to have you, give you something a little bit more to create and work with, because I can make these as a maker. I can make these camps, and that way that I could sell them, and maybe eventually, they'll be higher quality, so maybe you'll restore health faster in them. But if you don't have a maker around, and you don't really, or actually if you just want to see if a maker's got any, you can come down here at any point in time, and you click this little button here, which, there we go. And you go to newspaper. Newspaper is basically your auction house. This will allow you to purchase products, and you'll be able to, it's really hard to kind of organize, but allow you to ultimately, geez, look at that, level 12, 15, geez. It'll allow you to dig through these, find what you need. You might be able to find, like here, like this person's got some bivouac kits, which is awesome. I mean, I could make them myself, but I would come here and I'd be like, okay, let me purchase a couple of them. So he's got a price of 100, which is cheaper than what you can buy them. So you could try finding in here. I think eventually they'll get around to maybe organizing a method. If not, developers, if you're listening to this, organize this whole thing. It's a disaster. The filter is messy. Everything it just needs to be corrected. But if you don't have that, you could go down to the medallion shop, and you can buy the camp materials right here. Actually, it's the same price. So that's why they got to do something about that with the makers and their capacity to try to encourage crafting. But I do know that like quality does make a difference, so it'll probably make a difference in the end. Now you have two different kinds here. This is very important. You have the camp materials, and then you have the dungeoneer. And the dungeoneer allow you to actually make a camp inside a dungeon, where the camp materials is all the overworld. So, you know, if you're in there, you could just simply purchase it, you know, wherever it's required. All right, now I'm pretty much full health, so let's just exit this encounter. Encounter of my campsite. All right. I don't know what that means. Don't look into that too much. All right, now I knew that there's a dungeon right over here. Yeah, 3 to 7. I don't know. Let's see what else we could find. Probably nothing this way. Now, this is like one of those ways that you want to take to get around the swamp. Actually, I've mentioned before, you know, kind of exploring is a nice thing to do. You can also, what's more important, is when you feel like going out and exploring to try to find new locations, you find all the rare resources that are available, and you can still mine those, which of course increases your skill. It does all sorts of stuff for you. So, you know, like, I could come here, and there's a good chance I'm going to fail, but it gives me a rare resource, which is always appreciated. So it's worth doing that. Actually, I find I tend to travel and explore a lot, and I find that super helpful. That I like being able to do this because in the future, when my crafting gets up high enough, I have lots of resources to go to right then instead of trying to find it there. All right, we're just going to go to this Grit Elemental here. We're going to try taking this out. Yellow, I believe, means that they're probably one level above me or so. Let's see here. Yeah, they're a couple levels above me. Alright, so that's okay. So basically combat works in phases, as you can see here. 2 will allow you to bring up your skills, which you would have to assign before combat via the action bar loader, which I can't show you right now. Typically, each level you gain something new. It autofills, but you might want to go into the action bar loader, try to sort out and adjust, you know, what might actually work for your character a little bit more. Next thing, of course, pay attention to your mana. Now, I'm going to, let's see, I have charge. So there's a few things to keep in mind right now. The environment does play a role. How many creatures are attacking you also plays a role. So, for example, right now, I'm fine. It's pretty much a one-on-one with this guy. The elementals, this is going to change a little bit. Now I'm flanked. And flank gives them a bonus, which you can actually come to your combat, and it tells you what the bonus is here, your combat log. So flank gives them a bonus, but you, in essence, could flank enemies too if you had other people. Now, instead of being surrounded, I don't want that. What I would prefer is you can actually pin targets, in which case that's if you're attacking them when they're near a solid object like this, and it reduces the damage or their chance to hit or their damage to you, one or the other. Now, that's always good and handy. I'm just going to take this around it for a second instead of moving around. But you can see, yeah, look, I'm surrounded, so I have minus 20% damage. So typically it's good to like move your spot, reposition yourself, get ready to attack again, and then, you know, go forward from there. And it's kind of like you just circle around the creatures and you try to manipulate them. Like I said, ideally it would be me manipulating them over here, but they're ranged targets, and I didn't feel like taking the damage for the time frame. So that's why we're where we were at. Where we're at. I must have screwed. No, that was the bleeding one, right? So we'll just come back over here. And then the other thing that you have to pay attention to, certain creatures, which you'll learn as you defeat them, will actually eat corpses, and ultimately they'll wind up, refilling health, which would be pretty nasty if you're busy trying to, like you're in a fight like this. It would be terrible if, these guys started just refilling health on me, because I would just be a wreck. Alright, good. So there we go. Combat's done. I can skin if I have the tool, if I have, I actually don't know if I have the herb. No, I don't have it, so that'll just go to waste, but that's alright. Grab my loot. So that's basically combat. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There's nothing too complicated. It starts, they're adding in things to make it where you can start thinking things through a little bit more. Like I said, with the surrounding, the flank, Um, the surrounded, flanked, and pinned. Pinned is the only thing you can really take to your advantage solo. The rest you have to have a group with, of course. And it's very good to actually do that because those little bits of damage that you are able to reduce make a huge difference. I mean, like I said, now I took all that damage from there. And because of that, that's going to take up, like me resting for a little bit. Or eating. Eating, as I said, the other method that you can use, and it's probably the most prominent method to actually end up refilling life. It's the best way to go about doing it. Let's see if I can just get one of these. No. There we go, got one, yeah. That, of course, increased my skill a little bit. Each one of those did. And you want to pin that down here to your fast-eating food so you can just mow down there and then just chow it down. Now, like I said, the trick is getting tons. You can only have a stack of 20 at a time. So, for example, I just ate 7 of those to kind of refill. But I feel like I'm kind of in the hell level area, like most games wind up having, because the next food that I can start purchasing, I believe, from merchants will upgrade to level 10. So, like, level 5 food is great when you're level 5, but when you get to level 10, it's like you need mounds and mounds of it to eat. So it's rough in that sense. It's good to, I go with this one because it's got a little bit of mana restore. I don't have a lot of mana, so it kind of helps out, but it's nice to actually have food that just strictly does hit points and strictly does mana, and 2 stacks of that because you could probably fill up your hit points a little bit more. And then, like I said, if you're patient, you just set up a tent. Now, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that needs to be stated about overland exploration. You'll have to sweep around areas that seem to be closed off to you. You find all sorts of things. You can also randomly be encountered when you're running around, which is not fun. If you're wandering in one of those high, that's the risk reward, I guess, for exploring. If you're wandering one of those high level areas, you run a high chance of being ambushed, which of course they could kill you. And there's something involved where they have, well, I guess now at level 4, they have something where you can get an XP debt, which happens when you run away from, wow, I lucked out with that one. Happens when you run away from combat. You wind up, getting some XP debt or something like that, or you die in combat. Leaderboards has a whole section for it, so if I come here to the leaderboards, yeah, XP debt right there. So that's how much. It just takes it a little bit longer. Their idea behind this game is that they want people to be playing for a long time. I actually know this guy. He's got great videos. Holy Joe. He's got a whole series of stash videos, by the way. I can't remember his name right now, but I'll link his channel. He's got a lot more information. He's been playing in those videos. He was only level 9, so he's doing pretty good. If he's, I think he's probably increased his level to 12. I think that's what this means, is their level that they are. I believe that he's a healer too. Yep, #1 healer. There you go. He's got a little bit more information. He's been playing it. He's got a little bit higher level, so that's good. I'll link him down below. All right, well, I believe that's all I have right now. Actually, no, that's wrong. I was going to explain the action bar loader right here. So if you open up this will give you all your new skills, like all the ones that you have. Now you can click here, and then you can, your combat action bar is your most important because this is what goes into combat with you. You don't need to worry about chainmail. It's just telling you, hey, you can wear chainmail armor. All these other skills are ones that you can do. So I could put in, like, for example, I don't have Intimidate down here. It's not in my bar. I haven't found a use. I'm not doing a whole lot of group combat yet. I'd like to, but we need more population in the game. And then you have your other ones, your passive encounter. These are really important just for like putting your buffs in. So when you're in town or you're in a mining section or a camp or something, you can like wind up just buffing up there so you don't waste a turn in combat for that. And then the other thing you want is non-combat item, and this is where you where you attach your food here so you can eat it on the fly. So I think that's it. This went on a little bit longer than I was expecting, but it's all right. The game still has enough depth to it. And as you figure things out, they're also making it easier to explain what weapons do. They're going to put a little more sticky. I think they're also putting in some, there you go. They're giving you some bonus. This is all new, where they're telling you exactly what these stats determine. And, you know, there's some offhand items and stuff that also play a role in things, and they'll explain that one as well. So they're still working on it. They're actually due for a full release, I think. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe today, tomorrow, sometime very soon. They're due for a full game release. It's still early access right now, but it's due for a full game. But the bugs are basically worked out. It is a good game. They're going to continuously add content. They want this to be a long-term game that someone will come in and like dedicate a long time to, kind of like the MUD that they run. And so they're taking the steps to do that. You know, it's a game that requires some time, but it does have a very rewarding factor to it. When you find that next best thing or you get that next level, you actually feel like you really accomplished something. It's going to be one of those games where you see someone running around like, you know, that's like the high level players you're going to have so much respect for, because you're like, whoa, you've been working on that for a while, and you know, that's impressive, and those guys should probably be pretty much monsters. And yeah, I think that's so. Yeah, go ahead and get Stash, get into it. It's great. The developers are really awesome. They're really trying hard to really develop the game and make it, make it to a very hardcore. I don't know exactly. They have a specific mindset where they really want to bring out the RPG type people and the people that want to have a game where they could call home for a long time and feel comfortable with it. They're going to do their interactive events and stuff like that. So, all right, but I think that's it. I don't know if I'll do another Stash video in the sense of how-tos, unless you guys want to see something else or have any other questions. So I guess that's all for now. So you all have a wonderful, glorious evening. Good night.